Why do only some Canadian geese migrate, and where do they go to when they migrate?
Thanks for the question, Avery. Canada geese mainly migrate because they need to find a source of food. Geese get some of their food from lakes and ponds, and when they freeze over here in Canada, some of them migrate to places with open water.
How many types of owls live in London, Ontario?
Great question, Violet. There are 11 species of owls in Ontario, and here in London we can see quite a few of them. Maybe right here in the city, or just outside London, along roadsides, fields, or airports. Some species that have been spotted are the great horned owl, barred owl, eastern screech owl, snowy owl, short-eared owl, and northern saw-whet owl.
Why are males brightly colored and dance, and why don't females?
Thanks for the question, Quinn. The color of a male is generally an indicator of his strength and his health. Female birds will look for a brightly colored male to carry over those genetic qualities in the next generations of eggs she will lay. The male dances to attract a female. He displays his beauty and strength of himself to the female in hopes of her choosing him to mate with over the other males in that area.
Are hummingbirds the only birds that drink nectar?
Great question, Leah. Hummingbirds are definitely not the only birds that like to drink nectar. Some other examples are chickadees, orioles, finches, warblers, woodpeckers, and sparrows. So if you are able to put out a hummingbird feeder, keep an eye on it and see what other birds come to visit and drink the sweet nectar.
Does a greyjay make the same sound as a bluejay?
Thanks, Ella, for your question. Do greyjays sound the same as bluejays? In order to answer that question, first I must tell you a cool fact about greyjays. Their name was Greyjays up until 2018, and then there was a vote made, and their name is now the Canada Jay. So that's pretty cool, right? So the Canada Jay actually makes a very different vocalization than a blue jay. They make almost like soft clicks and gurgling noises. They call it a whisper song. Whereas the blue jay is known to have loud, clear jeers. You might hear outside, jay, jay, or jeer, jeer, that kind of sound. So that's a neat fact about them. The other thing that's cool about both birds is that both kinds of jays can imitate the sound of predator hawks and even crows. So thanks again, Ella, for your question.
Why do birds have different colors of eggs?
Thanks, Fiona, for your question. Why do birds lay different colored eggs? Scientists are actually still trying to figure out this one and have many different theories. One of the theories that many people tend to agree on is that birds lay different colored eggs for the purpose of camouflage, depending on where the nest is built. Another reason for birds to have different colored eggs is so that they can identify their own egg if another bird comes and lays an egg in their nest. So now they can tell the difference between what's their egg and what's another bird's egg. Now, another reason why birds may lay different colored eggs is, say for example, they're in a colony of hundreds of other birds like gulls. And it would be very difficult to tell the difference between eggs in many different nests, unless there were tiny little differences. So that's another reason why birds lay different colored eggs.
Why do birds like trees so much?
Thank you, Evelyn, for your question. Why do birds like trees so much? Well, birds like trees so much for a variety of different reasons. Trees make great places to hide. They're a shelter from predators. Some birds even like to hide inside of a hole in a tree called a cavity. So that's really cool, like owls. Other birds like to use trees for food sources, thinking of berries, nuts, seeds, or even insects that they might collect off of branches and bark. Now, some birds like to perch up really high in a tree so they can look down for food sources or live prey. Other birds like to perch up high in a tree so that they can sing their song as loudly as possible and get noticed by other birds. So again, there's many different reasons why birds like trees. And then of course, the answer that a lot of us know too is that some birds make their nests up high in a tree.
Why do birds make nests in the trees?
Thanks, Myra, for your question. Why do birds make nests in trees? Myra, there are many birds that make nests in trees, but certainly not all of them. The birds that like to make nests in trees are called Altricial birds. These are birds that have babies that actually aren't born with feathers. They may have down covering their body, their eyes may be closed, and they need the care and really food delivered by their parents. Now, their nests are up in trees because they can be away from predators and that way safer. The types of birds that are born on the ground are called Precocial birds. An example of that would be geese. Their babies actually can stand and even walk and find their own food within minutes of being born. Their eyes are open and they're already covered in a certain type of feather. So that's the difference really between birds that are born in a nest in a tree and birds that are born in a nest on the ground. An example of an altricial bird is a robin. Thanks again, Myra, for your question.
Why do birds sing?
Thanks for your question, Sai. Birds sing for many reasons. Often they want to defend or impress when they sing. The bird might want to stake claim on a territory and may be singing to say, "Hey, I'm nesting here. Don't build your nest on my turf." Or they may sing to attract a mate, and their song may mean something like, "Hello, I'm healthy and I have found a great spot. Wouldn't you like to build a nest with me and start a family?" Birds also make calls. These sounds are often shorter and less rhythmic than bird songs. Often birds use calls to communicate location with each other, so they can keep track of where other birds are, and they can make danger calls to warn other birds of threats.
Do pterodactyls evolve into birds?
Thanks for your question, Lucy. Birds did evolve from dinosaurs, which is super cool. However, scientists believe birds evolved from a group of meat-eating dinosaurs called theropods, not pterodactyls. An example of a theropod is the famous Tyrannosaurus rex. However, birds actually evolved from small theropods and not huge T-Rexes. Believe it or not, pterodactyls are actually not considered dinosaurs at all, but are classified as flying reptiles, who appeared here on Earth almost 50 million years before birds.
Why do geese fly in V shapes?
Thanks for your question, Kate. Ornithologists, people who study birds, believe that geese fly in a V shape because it can help them fly without using up as much of their energy. Flying in a V shape can help enhance lift and decrease drag, two things that make flying easier. Did you know that Canada geese sometimes fly for over 16 hours without stopping? The leading bird in the V does use extra energy, so geese usually take turns being the leader in the V. The V position can also help the geese communicate and see each other while they fly.